Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and furthermore welcome back to yet another exciting Dungeons & Dragons miniature review. Tonight we're taking a look at the Dungeons & Dragons Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures 50th Anniversary Mimics. And you can see this really cool box art. You know, you got the Dungeons & Dragons logo in different shades of red. 50th Anniversary, the Mimics. You know, you got that big 50 anniversary there with the 50, and the zero's like the dragon head. Whiz kids, ages 14 plus, and you can see them just kind of loose in there. You know, nothing really holding them down. No straps, no nothing. And then the back, you can just see experience 2 generations of Dungeons and Dragons in one package. This limited edition D&D 50th anniversary pack features popular characters and monsters alongside their counterparts from D&D's early days. D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures are highly detailed figures, primed and ready with deep cuts for easier painting. Features characters and monsters from the Dungeons & Dragons universe, past and present. Minor assembly required, pre-primed and paint ready. May include translucent parts. Universal Terran pads can be swapped between figures. D&D Nolzur's Marvelous Miniatures. Expand your collection at whizkids.com/unpainted. Bases are not included. And all that legal stuff. But that pretty much wraps up the packaging. And you can see them in there. You know, there's a smaller one and a bigger one. But yeah, I'm going to take a few days to get this painted and put together. Don't go away. There's more miniature review to be had. Alright, here are the 50th anniversary mimics. I guess we'll take a look at each of them individually. Here is the bigger one. You can see the Terran base is this kind of stone bricks. Like maybe it's in a dungeon, who knows. And then the chest of the mimic is pretty simple. It's just a generic chest. The only thing that would have you know that this is indeed a mimic is that gnarly-looking fisted hand that's jutting out the side of it. So it's like a weird, malleable tentacle that has a hand at the end of it, and the hand is balled into a fist. What is this mimic going to do with that fist? Is he going to slap you? Is he going to punch you? Who knows? But he's going to be doing something with that hand, I'm sure. But yeah, that's pretty basic. And then I added a black base to kind of complete the look. Sold separately, obviously. And then here is the other one. The other one, really small. But I kind of did the same thing. You know, this is actually a different base. But I painted it the same way I did the other one. Base black, and then I brushed some gray over that to kind of make it look like some stone, right? And then it's kind of standing on its tongue. It's got a really cool dynamic pose here. So it's standing on its tongue. It's actually lifted itself on its tongue. And it looks like it's actually using its tongue to fling itself maybe at a potential victim. But looks really cool. Gnarly looking fangs. It's got 4 eyes and then a bunch of spikes on the back of it. This little treasure chest is actually quite warped. But yeah, I think it looks nice. Looks pretty decent. Guess we'll compare these to some other mimics. Obviously pre-painted ones. Here is a dire mimic. Here is a bearskin rug mimic. Here is a barrel that's a mimic. Here is a chair that's a mimic. And finally, here is a basic painted mimic, right? So all of these mimics here in the back are pre-painted. I did not paint them. Although I did paint these new 50th anniversary ones. But you can see it compared to a few other mimics here. But yeah, I like these guys. I think this is a nice, solid set. I do gotta say, you will need some really fine brushes because these guys are extremely small. Especially this boy right here. Like, this is probably the most difficult one to paint. This guy, the bigger one, he was easy to paint. It was just like brown, and then I dry brushed some lighter brown over it to bring out the textures in the wood. Gray for the metal parts, and then there was purple, and then I dry brushed the tip of the fist here in blue, and then, you know, obviously I painted the bases in a black wash, and then painted over that with gray to bring out the textures. But I think these look nice. They came out pretty decently, I think. I guess we'll go into a proper size comparison. Alright, first up for comparison, here we have the 50th anniversary mimics next to some pre-painted miniatures. We have the Banderhob, the Odiug Mutate, the Spider Dragon, and the Dragonborn Paladin. Next up for comparison, here we have the 50th anniversary mimics next to some licensed miniatures. We have Critical Role's Naga Abomination, which I've painted to look like Leviathan from the Helliverse. A Deep Cuts Giant Frog, which I painted to look like the Venomized Frog, seen in Venom the Last Dance. And a Hook Horror, which I've painted to look like Toucan Sam from the Fruit Loops cereal. 50th anniversary mimics next to some Deep Cuts Human Oracle magic users. We have Kira and Alice. The 50th anniversary mimics next to one of my favorite miniatures that I've painted, the Odiug. And finally, the 50th anniversary mimics next to a young blue dragon. My thoughts on these guys, I think they're solid. I think they're simple, yet also dynamic. You know, you got the mimic here with a kind of fist coming out like it's about to punch the heck out of somebody. And then you got this one, which I think is like the most dynamic of the figures. And I think that the idea of this thing like holding itself up on its tongue and then using its tongue for momentum to fling itself at potential prey is just something so dynamic and works for something like a mimic. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. Do take care. Have a great night. And I'll see you in the next video.